but the inventory is not done in the magistrate. Please keep it. The second thing is photographs are taken up, and then he certifies the photographs to be true after comparison. Then he allows samples to be taken and certifies that the samples are taken. And certifies the correctness of any sample so drawn. That is what he does. And nothing more. There is nothing in this section as to how a sample is to be drawn. How they must be sealed. And then that seal must be preserved with whom? Who has to sign on the slips attached to the sample? All these things, it is silent. And the question is, incidentally, whether the magistrate shall be my humble view is he need not be, because he is not a party to the inventory. He is not signing on the samples. He is only certifying that samples are taken in his present correctly. List of samples. So he will only give a certificate. And the certificate, so far as the contents of the certificate is primary evidence. When the certificate is itself primary evidence, there is no need to prosecution examining the magistrate. The magistrates, in my considered view, shall take care to see that they don't sign either the inventory report, samples taken, slips attached to the samples taken. Their duty is something different. Then who is a magistrate then? Whether it is a judicial magistrate or executive magistrate. There is no specification there. Therefore, in my humble view, having regard to the provision of section 33 or 33 of CRPC, which section?
Millard, one humble submission, Millard.
1 minute. What is the section which deals with the magistrate's definition? If the magistrate is not specified, it must be construed as a judicial magistrate. Section 3, construction of references, CRPC. Subsection 3, unless the context otherwise requires, any reference in any enactment passed before the commencement of this court to a magistrate of the first class shall be construed as a reference to a judicial magistrate. Magistrate of second class as so and so, to any area so and so, where under any law. So if under this section, if it is not specified, must be considered as judicial magistrate only. Judicial magistrate must only certify the certificate under. Yes, what is the question? Somebody wanted to intervene.
Millard.
Yes.
The Honorable High Court has issued a circular, Millard, last year on the basis of the ratio laid down in Mohanlal's case, Millard, specifying that the judicial magistrates have to conduct the inventory, Millard.
Yes.
And how the inventory has been conducted.
Itself is clear when read with the provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure. The judicial magistrate has to conduct the inventory also. The inventory is already done at the Malkhana. The substances are heavy and they cannot be mobile. You will go to the magistrate, will place and substance of the inventory already done. Please read provision once. What is the
again there is a problem with audio.
Purpose of certifying the correctness of the inventory so prepared. Please read subsection 2 again. Control substances, packing, so and so, the packing is they are packed, or country of the origin, etc. controlled substances in any proceeding under this act and make an application. So only they make an application. That is my humble view of the matter anyhow. Then how the sampling is to be done. Then I will refer to Standing Order 1 of 89.
Audio not audible, my lord.
My audio is not audible, student.
Now audible, my lord. Now audible.
Is it audible, sir? Yes. Standing Order 1 of 89. It is dated 13/6/89. Even that is not available in any book. How the sampling is to be done, I have taken from Allahabad High Court decision. State of UP, Chinku Gupta versus State of UP, 2018 3 ACR 2714. 2018 3 ACR 271. Manu UP 4959 by 2018. Manu UP 4959 by 2018. Chinku Gupta versus State. Dinesh Kumar Singh is the honorable judge. In this Standing Order 1 of 89, it is stated as follows. All drugs shall be properly classified, carefully weighed and sampled on the spot of seizure. Sampled on the spot of the seizure. Now whether this order holds the field or not is a doubt. On the spot of the seizure, sampling is not being done. Under 52A, sampling is being done by the magistrate of the inventory after the accused and the contraband is forwarded to the police station, Malkhana. Then trial of all the packages, containers will be serially.
Milord, again, there is a problem with the audio, Milord.
Again, a problem with the audio. Automatically switch off అయిపోతుంది audio.
Is audible.
Yes.
Is audible.
Also, because all able to hear me.
Yes, my lord. We are able to hear.
Yes, my lord.
Samples. All the packages, containers shall be serially numbered and kept in lot for sampling. Samples from the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances seized shall be drawn on the spot of recovery in duplicate in the presence of such and the person from whose possession the drug is recovered. A mention to this effect should invariably made in the Panchanama. Quantity to be drawn from for the sample. The quantity each sample for chemical test shall be not less than 5 grams in respect of all narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, save in cases of opium, ganja, and charak, hashish, where a quantity of 24 grams in each case is required for chemical test. The same quantity shall be taken for duplicate sample also. The seized drugs in the packages containers shall be well mixed to make it a homogeneous and representative sample before the sample is drawn. Then method of drawal is also stated in this Standing Order. One sample in duplicate shall be drawn. If there are more than 1, 2 packages or containers and they are less in number, from each container, one sample in duplicate shall be drawn. If the packages are more, they must be made in. If they are identical in sizes, etc., they must be made into a lot of 10, and from a lot of 10, one sample in duplicate can be drawn. proportionate way. If the lots are related to Ganja and Hashish, the lots are bunched in lots of 40. That is what the standing order 89 says. But this kind of sampling procedure is being followed in all cases. Yes, sir. In no case, sampling is being done in this manner. Then the next aspect is, please go through the decision of the combined high court. M. Parsardhi, Mada Parsardhi versus Prohibition and Excise Inspector, P&E Station, Ongole, Prakasam District. The case under NDPS Act. Reported in 2012, 1 ALD criminal, 2012, 1 Andhra Legal Decisions criminal, 966. In this case, our High Court referred to a decision of the Supreme Court. I am reading a paragraph quoted by the High Court. In this context, I would like to refer a decision relied upon by learned counsel appearing for the appellant in Kuldeep Singh versus State of Punjab, 2011 Criminal Law Journal 2672, in which case, before the Supreme Court, the boxes containing contraband articles were seized and carried to the police station. Samples were taken by the station house officer only after the bags were taken to the police station. Referring to the said situation, the Supreme Court held as follows. We are unable to accept the latter part of the submissions relating to collection of sample at the police station from the seized goods, which had been sealed by PW3. Malkiyat Singh, PW3 Malkiyat Singh. Non-collection of the which could not be cured in the manner in which it was done by opening the bag which had been sealed by Malkiyat Singh and mixing the contents thereof. And after the samples are prepared and the seal is fixed, the seal shall not be with the office samples. And who is having custody of the samples? The seal must be preserved somewhere else. Is it being done? These are important aspects which fall for consideration when we deal with samples and collection of samples. So far as disposal of the property after the samples are taken, case is tried, committees to be appointed, and if the disposal committee is there or not, it's a different matter. But so far as the disposal committee is, there is a notice. Ministry of Finance, 16th January 2015. This notification is available in the internet. In Uttarakhand state, I have seen a disposal committee is appointed. I do not know whether in our states whether any such committee is appointed as on today.
No, my lord. Till no such committee appointed, my lord.
Fine. So on samples, how to draw, how the sampling is to be done, and the property. Also, there is a gray area. Then comes presumptions. We know the cardinal rules of criminal jurisprudence. The burden is always on the prosecution, and the legal burden never shifts. burden is always on the prosecution. The legal burden never shifts. The accused is presumed to be innocent. Requirement of proof is proof beyond reasonable doubt. And then the rule benefits right to silence, right of opportunity to explain away the incriminating circumstances while being examined under section 313. Rule of proof, like looking for corroborating material, right to be heard on measure of sentence. These are all there. Under certain special statutes, we find that the presumptions are introduced. Section is one presumption under the NDPS Act. So under this presumption, there is slightly a reversal of onus of proof. I need not tell the senior officers like you, learned officers, the difference between the legal burden and the onus of proof. The legal burden is always on the prosecution, it never shifts. But as far as the presumption is concerned, it is the onus of proof, reversal of evidentiary burden, and the presumption is a rebuttable presumption. And so far as the accused is concerned, the burden of proof insofar as the reversal of this onus of proof is, the standard of test is only preponderance of probability, not proof beyond reasonable doubt. Now, when a presumption will be drawn, simply because the accused is before the court and he is charged with an offense punishable under the NDPS Act, trial has concluded and some evidence is let in as regards seizure and possession of the contraband, then you draw a presumption. What do you mean by presumption? A presumption, in my considered view, there must be certain fundamental facts which are to be established by the prosecution. When fundamental facts are established, the question of drawing a presumption does not arise. Therefore, presumption is an inference drawn by the as to the truth of a particular fact from other proved facts. It's an inference drawn by the court as to the truth of a particular fact from proved facts. Like, for example, civil law, usually execution is proved or execution is admitted of a promissory note. Then we draw an inference that the consideration cost. So when either execution is admitted or proved, then we draw the inference and the owner shifts onto the defendant or the borrower. The same principle applies here also. Supposing a sample is seized and it is produced before the court during course of the trial, but the sample seized are not tallying, a fundamental fact is not proved. Therefore, drawing a presumption does not arise. The burden of proof is there in a criminal case. It is all the more difficult for the prosecution to establish its case, though sometimes it is very difficult for the accused against whom the presumption is to be drawn when the fundamental facts are established to rebut the presumption. So what is important here is Vijay Pandey's case, Vijay Pandey versus Uttar Pradesh, 2019 SCC online, Supreme Court 942. The presumption, the initial onus is on the prosecution to establish fundamental facts, an inference is to be drawn. I would also like to draw your attention where 35 section 50 both the presumptions therein are considered. Hanif Khan alias Anu Khan, Central Bureau of Narcotics, Supreme Court decision 2013 appeal 106 of 2013. Here in this case, there is a delay of production of the sample before the court. The Supreme Court refused to draw the presumption, saying that in the facts and circumstances of the case, fundamental facts are not established. In certain other cases, the only evidence available against some of the accused is the confessional statements of the co-accused. The Supreme Court said, question of presumption does not arise. Question of convicting such accused, merely the confessional statements of the co-accused does not arise. Muhammad Fasreen versus State, represented by intelligence officer, criminal appeal number 296/14, Supreme Court. Muhammad Fasreen, SRIN. This is something about presumption. Though there is a presumption regarding culpable mental state of the accused, unless certain fundamental facts are established, trial of presumption does not arise. Complainant and investigation informant and investigation officer being the same person. Generally, it is impermissible. Mohanlal's case, Mohanlal, Punjab, most of you must have been aware. 2018 lawsuit, Supreme Court, 2018 lawsuit, Supreme Court, 768. A bench of 3 honorable judges of the Supreme Court held that the informant and investigation officer must not be the same. That is the requirement of fair trial. In this case also, the Supreme Court refused to draw the inference based on the presumption provided in the enactment, stating that the investigation is not fair and the same person who is the complainant is the investigating officer, the investigation itself is vitiated. But if this decision is to be retrospectively applied, most of the cases will end in acquittal. Subsequently, the Supreme Court clarified the position and held that Mohanlal's case is not allowed to become a springboard for acquittal in prosecutions prior to the same, irrespective of all other considerations. We therefore hold that all criminal prosecutions, trials, and appeals prior to in Mohanlal shall continue to be governed by the individual facts of the case. This citation is Varinder Kumar versus State of Himachal Pradesh. Varinder Kumar versus State of Himachal Pradesh, criminal appeal number 2450 and 2451 of 2010. rendered on 11th February 2018. Surendra Kumar versus State of Himachal Pradesh. Then before we go to the questions, the last aspect is mixture. A narcotic substance, narcotic drug or a psychotropic substance is mixed with another neutral substance. So there is a mixture. Then the question is, the drug or substance must be taken separately for determining whether it is a small quantity or an intermediary quantity or a commercial quantity, or the entire mixture is to be taken. Earlier the view is only the substance is to be taken. The neutral substances weight should be excluded. But recently the Supreme Court in Heera Singh's case held that the weight of the entire mixture has to be taken. Heera Singh and another versus Union of India, Criminal Appeal number 722 of 2017. I have taken this from Law. I have no citation. This is rendered on 22nd April 2020. So the weight of the entire mixture is to be taken. That is the contraband plus the with which the contraband is mixed. If the total weight exceeds small quantity or intermediary quantity and becomes a commercial quantity, and then though the drug weight is less than that of the commercial quantity weight, still the mixture's weight has to be taken into consideration. It should be considered as a commercial quantity.
One submission, Milord.
Yes.
How to separate the neutral quantity and the actual drug quantity, Milord, when both are inseparable? At the time of remand, Milord, the entire quantity will be, for example, it will be weighing more than 20 kgs. So it is construed as a total quantity on which basis bail will be denied to him under section 37. Till the completion of 180 days, bail cannot be granted because it's a commercial quantity at that stage. Thereafter, when FSL report is received, the quantity of actual drug is only.
I understand your question. Whenever this question calls for consideration, that is the stage. The police officer itself, the investigating officer himself says in the beginning itself, because he has his own kit with him, which he can test, with which he can test on the spot as to what is the nature of drug and substance. There are some field kits with which he can test. Supposing he finds that the drug or the substance is mixed with some neutral substance, and that is the FIR and also the remand report, you go by the weight of the mixture, is it not? So it is for the prosecution to say, it is not for the, for us to, it is, if the prosecution says that there is no mixture, well and good. They may say at any stage, it is for them, if they have the evidence to say that. Sometimes they say at the beginning, sometimes they say after the analyst report is received. At whatever stage, when the fact is disclosed, our duty as per law is to consider the weight of the entire mixture. Okay. The question is, earlier, taking the weight of the substance or the drug, you have considered it as a small quantity, and the case is now remaining before a magistrate. Now, after this decision, you have realized that the entire weight of the mixture is to be taken into consideration for determining whether it is a commercial quantity or not. But at this stage, following the decision on the admitted facts, if you consider the entire weight of the mixture, it becomes a commercial quantity. What is to be done by the magistrate, because the case is not yet disposed of? The answer is in the decision itself, though not directly. See, the weight of the mean substance or drug is not increased. By increasing the minimum weight, the drug is not made into a commercial quantity drug. There is no mean amendment of the law. Again, the punishment under the provision of law is also not enhanced. Only the interpretation of the law changed. And the notification which is issued by the concerned authority to treat the mixture's weight as the weight for commercial quantity is only a clarificatory in nature. It was given for abundant caution. That is what the Supreme Court said. In that view of the matter, my humble view is that the case is now to be tried by a special magistrate. See, that is why when we read enactments, we must prepare a notes. I'll try to show a chart which I prepared with an officer of the state.
Yes, my lord.
Likewise, you have to prepare while dealing with any enactment. See, I have qualified as with the help of an officer. We prepared. Supposing I request you to please carefully check. This is prepared within 1 day for my reference. Mistakes. We have taken care to see that there are no mistakes. These are giving for an idea. Offense, section, punishment, and tribal by whom. You can also add another column, available, non-available. Right. Now I have now that we have covered, I think, all the aspects. Let us go to some questions. We are already ahead of time. Or shall I stop here? The first question received is whether a judicial magistrate Since the remand and accused alleged to have committed an offence under NDPS Act punishable with imprisonment for more than 3 years in terms of 36A1 of the Act are forwarded to him by special court. We have already answered the question. The next question is whether offences punishable up to 3 years under any are bailable or non-bailable. I have
Audio clear, my lord.
Milord, audio problem, Milord. We are unable to hear your lordship, Milord.
I see.
We are unable to hear your lordship, Milord, because of the audio problem, Milord.
Okay, please wait. Is it clear now?
Yes, my lord.
Sir,
Yes,
you and another officer, only 2 officers, all others are receiving very clearly. Please also verify your systems. Okay. Yes or no? Okay. Some of the offences are bailable or not. We have discussed already with reference to 2 decisions. One of Kerala decision, other of Justice Surya Rao Garu, Amarnath's case. Then the third question is, if 37 terms are applied and if the court comes to the conclusion that reasonable ground that he is not guilty, the accused suspect is not guilty of the offence and not likely to commit an offence, and bail is granted, whether it will provide a ground for the accused to file discharge petition. The bail application considerations are different. Discharge application considerations are different. If an accused section 37, only we are looking at a prima facie case there. May exercise the right to file a petition for discharge, but the considerations are different. I mean, the learned judge is required to dispose of the applications separately, and simply because the bail is granted, it is not automatic right to have discharge. That is my humble opinion. Anticipatory bail, we have discussed anticipatory bail with reference to cases.
One submission, Milord. Milord, as far as the section 37 is concerned, while deciding the bail application, some of the honorable high courts have entered into the merits of the case by stating that the seizure is violative of sections 42, 43 or 50 of the Act as the case may be, Milord. And when such a finding is given, does it not amount to giving the deciding about the merits of the case, at least prima facie, giving an advantage to the accused to file a discharge petition or to take advantage during the course of trial by cross-examining the witnesses? Enough hints are being given. Enough hints are being given to the accused.
Please see that the case may improve in further investigation. That only when this investigation is in progress, certain observations are made. And moreover, evidence is not taken, the documents are not proved. So these are only interlocutory or intermediary orders. Their life is limited, and the considerations there are different in my view from the considerations which have considerations to be examined, considerations for discharge, rather considerations for discharge when a discharge application is filed. Therefore, my humble view is there is no automatic right to seek discharge, and those observations in my humble view are not binding. When you are deciding a discharge application, you have to independently exercise your discretion and pass orders. Anticipatory bail we have discussed. Case property seized and disposal. Now this question disposal of the case property by the magistrate does not arise because 52 has come into play, and a disposal committee is in place, and they will be disposed of by the disposal committee. I have also referred to the notification given by the central government. Release of vehicles up to 3 years. The magistrate is competent if the vehicle is produced for the magistrate, then he can as well deal with the interim custody and also final custody, provided after the inventory under 52A, the conveyance is available for being disposed of by a property disposal order. Generally, after the inventory, these will not be now produced before the court. They will be in the Malkhana, and the disposal committee will dispose of the conveyances and properties.
Before the disposal of the case by the magistrate, my lord, or during the pendency of the trial before the magistrate or special court?
See, in my considered view, if the case is triable by a special court, though the conveyance is produced before the learned magistrate, the disposal order, it is better, is passed by the special court for interim custody or final custody.
But the property is not being deposited before the magistrate or special court, my lord, in view of the constitution of the disposal committees.
It is deposited before the magistrate only, the jurisdiction comes. The conveyance is taken away after the inventory is kept in the Malkhana of the police station. We are no way concerned. If the property is produced along with the property form only, we get the jurisdiction. Otherwise, property is not produced before the court, the application will be returned. Is it not? That is the general practice.
Yes, my lord.
So vehicles will always be subject to the provisions of Section 51 CRPC and the guidelines in Sundarbhai Ambalal Desai case rendered by M.B. Shah and Dharmadhikari. They will always apply. AER 2003 Supreme Court 638. AER 2003 Supreme Court 638. Why I am saying is, if the conveyance is produced before the magistrate, though the case is triable by the special court, it will be kept in the property room of the courtyard of the court of the magistrate. It may be confiscated also, or it may be disposed of by a disposal order while disposing of the case on merits. Next, reverse burden. We have seen number of cases. We have I have given decisions also when the presumption shall be drawn, when not be drawn. In 42 and 43, we have Karnail's case and all we have discussed. Unexplained delay also. I have given Supreme Court decision. 1 year delay in sending it to court. Whether what the length of delay, what is the explanation for delay is a question of fact. I have given Mohanlal's case, Mohanlal versus State of Punjab 2019, 1 ALD criminal 696. You may go through. When only the conveyance or the properties before the court, either at the time of interim custody or at the time of final disposal, a disposal order will be passed. Otherwise, not. Whether the case property has to be brought before the magistrate for conducting inventory as envisaged in 52A. See, when you are certifying the inventory as correct, a magistrate is certifying the inventory as correct, he has to necessarily see the property. If the property is huge and cannot be moved from the Malkhana of the police station, he will go to the police station. That is only accommodation we can give to the police. If the property can be moved, he will be brought before the magistrate, he will certify the inventory to be correct. Then any other queries? Then what is the effect of non-compliance of section 50? I have given one of the latest decisions wherein it is held, the trial is not vitiated, but the search and seizure are vitiated. Therefore, the accused is entitled to acquittal, and such evidence which is collected, seizure or sample collection in violation of the mandatory provisions, has no evidentiary value. That decision is Raju versus Abdul Haque, Raju alias Abdul Haque versus State of West Bengal, 2018 2 ALD, page 892. I will read the relevant paragraph. Whether the trial gets vitiated or not, you will find in that decision. The Constitution Bench approved the view of this court in Balbir Singh case that there is an obligation on the authorized officer under section 50 to inform the subject that he has a right to be informed in the presence of the gazetted officer. It was held by the Constitution Bench that if such is concluded in violation of section 50, it may not vitiate the trial. It may not vitiate the trial, but that would render the recovery of illicit articles suspect and vitiate the conviction and sentence of the accused. What is said about non-compliance of section 50 is also true with regard to non-compliance of section 42. So 42 and 50, the effect is the same. It was held by the Constitution that it may not vitiate the trial, but render the recovery of illicit articles suspect and vitiate the conviction and sentence. Clear? So what are any other questions? Already it is 7:30. The session is supposed to end by 7 o'clock. I am also not accustomed to teaching online, but this is my first attempt. And another difficulty I am facing is that now that I am a retired judge, I have no access to any internet facility. I have subscribed for that what is that? Live law, because that is the cheapest. And since last 3 days, I was doing an exercise to collect some decisions which are of the Supreme Court and which are latest. So this is what all I wanted to share with you. I know that the time is short and live. Ocean, which I occupied within these 3 days, and I interacted with you. It's always a pleasure to interact with a group of learned officers. And as I said in the beginning, if there is a value addition to your knowledge banks, I'm a happy man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my lord. We had a good lot of inputs from your lordship, my lord. Thank you, my lord.
Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord.
Thank you, my lord.
Thank you.